Story 1. The small town of Willow Creek was known for its quaint charm, nestled deep in the woods, far from the chaos of the city. But beneath its picturesque facade, there lurked a darkness that few dared to acknowledge. It was whispered about in hushed tones, tales of strange happenings and inexplicable occurrences that left a chill in the air long after they had passed. Among the town's youth, there was a fascination with the occult, fueled by late-night gatherings and daring dares. It was on one such night that a group of teenagers found themselves gathered in the dimly lit attic of an old abandoned house on the outskirts of town. Among them was Sarah, a curious soul with a penchant for the supernatural, and her friends, Michael, Emily, and Alex. The attic was dusty and filled with cobwebs, the air thick with the scent of decay. In the center of the room, illuminated by a single flickering candle, lay an old Ouija board, its wooden surface worn with age. Sarah had heard stories about the board's mysterious powers, tales of spirits from beyond the grave communicating with the living. Despite the warnings of her friends, she couldn't resist the temptation to try it out for herself. With trembling fingers, Sarah placed her hands on the planchette, her heart pounding in her chest. "Is there anyone here with us?" she whispered, her voice barely audible above the creaking of the floorboards. For a moment, there was silence, the only sound the distant hoot of an owl outside. Then, slowly, the planchette began to move, gliding across the board as if guided by an unseen force. The letters spelled out a name: Samuel. Sarah's friends exchanged nervous glances, their unease growing with each passing second. But Sarah was undeterred, her curiosity piqued by the presence of the mysterious spirit. "Samuel, are you a friendly spirit?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Once again, the planchette moved, spelling out a single word: "No." A chill ran down Sarah's spine as she felt a cold breeze sweep through the room, sending shivers down her spine. But still, she persisted, her determination overriding her fear. "What do you want from us, Samuel?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The planchette moved again, this time spelling out a chilling message: revenge. Before Sarah could react, a loud crash echoed through the attic, causing her friends to scream in terror. In the dim light, they could see the shadows moving, swirling around them like tendrils of smoke. And then, suddenly, the candles flickered and died, plunging the attic into darkness. Panic seized Sarah as she fumbled for the matches, her hands shaking uncontrollably. But before she could light them, she felt something brush against her skin, icy fingers trailing down her arm. With a scream, she recoiled, her heart pounding in her chest. "Sarah, we need to get out of here," Michael shouted, his voice barely audible above the sound of their pounding hearts. But it was too late. In the darkness, they could hear the whispers growing louder, the voices of the dead beckoning them closer. And then, suddenly, Sarah felt a sharp pain in her chest, as if a knife had been plunged into her heart. With a final scream, she collapsed to the ground, her vision fading to black as the darkness consumed her. In the days that followed, the old abandoned house on the outskirts of town stood silent and empty, a haunting reminder of the horrors that lurked within. And as for Sarah and her friends, they were never seen again, their fate forever entwined with the darkness that had claimed them. But still, late at night, when the wind howled through the trees and the shadows danced in the moonlight, the residents of Willow Creek would whisper about the Ouija board in the attic, and the souls that had been lost to its sinister power. For in that small town, some secrets were better left buried, lest they awaken the darkness that lay dormant within us all. Story 2. In the heart of the sprawling city of Ashford, there stood a dilapidated mansion, hidden amidst the towering skyscrapers and bustling streets. Its once grand facade now weathered and worn, the mansion held a dark secret that few dared to explore. Legend had it that the mansion was haunted by the spirits of those who had perished within its walls, their tormented souls trapped for eternity. Among the urban explorers and thrill seekers of Ashford, the mansion was a coveted destination, a place where the brave could test their courage and confront the unknown. It was on a chilly autumn night that a group of friends, drawn by tales of the mansion's dark history, decided to embark on their own adventure. Leading the group was Alex, a bold and adventurous soul with a fascination for the paranormal. Alongside him were his friends, Sarah, Michael, and Emily. Armed with flashlights and a sense of excitement, they made their way through the overgrown grounds of the mansion, their footsteps echoing in the stillness of the night. As they entered the mansion, a chill ran down their spines, the air heavy with the scent of decay. The grand foyer lay before them, its ornate furnishings covered in dust and cobwebs. But it was what lay beyond that caught their attention. A room shrouded in darkness, a single Ouija board resting on a dusty table in the center. Sarah's eyes widened with excitement as she approached the Ouija board, her fingers trembling with anticipation. "We have to try it," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the sound of their racing hearts. Her friends exchanged nervous glances, but none dared to protest. With a sense of trepidation, they gathered around the table, their hands resting lightly on the planchette. "Is there anyone here with us?" Alex asked, his voice quavering slightly. For a moment, there was silence, broken only by the distant sound of the wind howling outside. Then, slowly, the planchette began to move, gliding across the board with an otherworldly grace. The letters spelled out a name, Rebecca. Sarah's heart skipped a beat as she felt a chill run down her spine. "Rebecca, are you here with us?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Once again, the planchette moved, spelling out a single word, "Yes." A sense of unease settled over the group as they realized they were not alone. "What do you want from us, Rebecca?" Michael asked, his voice trembling slightly. The planchette moved again, spelling out a chilling message, "Help." Before they could react, the room was plunged into darkness, the only illumination coming from the faint glow of their flashlights. Panic seized Sarah as she fumbled for the light switch, her heart pounding in her chest. But when the lights flickered back on, they were greeted by a sight that chilled them to the bone. Standing before them was a spectral figure, its features twisted in anguish, its eyes burning with an otherworldly light. With a scream, Sarah recoiled, her friends scrambling to their feet in terror. "We have to get out of here," Emily cried, her voice tinged with fear. But as they turned to flee, they found their path blocked by an invisible barrier, trapping them within the mansion's walls. Desperate, they turned back to the Ouija board, their hands shaking as they tried to communicate with the spirit. "Rebecca, please, we want to help you," Alex pleaded, his voice cracking with emotion. But the spirit only laughed, its laughter echoing through the room like the tolling of a funeral bell. "You cannot help me," it whispered, its voice filled with sorrow. "For I am trapped here for all eternity, bound to this house by the darkness that consumes it." As the spirit's words faded into the darkness, Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. They were trapped, at the mercy of forces beyond their comprehension. And as the night wore on, they realized that some secrets were better left buried, lest they awaken the darkness that lay dormant within us all. Story 3. The old, decrepit mansion at the edge of town was the stuff of legends. Its twisted architecture loomed over the surrounding landscape like a sinister specter, its windows shattered and ivy creeping up its crumbling walls. Locals whispered tales of the mansion being cursed, haunted by the souls of those who dared to disturb its slumber. Among the teenagers of the town, there was a fascination with the macabre, and no legend was more tantalizing than that of the mansion. It was on a moonless night, with the clock striking midnight, that a group of friends gathered at the mansion's gates. Among them were Mia, the adventurous leader of the group, Jake, the skeptic who secretly feared the unknown, Lily, the thrill seeker, and Sam, the quiet observer who often found himself dragged along for the ride. Armed with flashlights and nerves of steel, they made their way through the overgrown garden, the crunch of dead leaves beneath their feet echoing through the stillness of the night. As they reached the mansion's grand entrance, a chill ran down their spines, the air thick with anticipation. Mia, undeterred by the foreboding atmosphere, led the group through the mansion's crumbling halls, her flashlight cutting through the darkness like a beacon. It was in the heart of the mansion, in a room draped in shadows, that they found what they had been searching for. A dusty old Ouija board, its wooden surface worn with age. Lily's eyes lit up with excitement as she approached the Ouija board, her fingers trembling with anticipation. "We have to try it," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the sound of their racing hearts. Jake hesitated, his skepticism warring with his curiosity. "Are you sure this is a good idea?" he asked, his voice tinged with uncertainty. But Mia was undeterred, her sense of adventure overriding any sense of caution. With a determined glint in her eye, she gathered her friends around the Ouija board, their hands resting lightly on the planchette. "Is there anyone here with us?" Mia asked, her voice steady despite the pounding of her heart. For a moment, there was silence, broken only by the faint rustling of the wind outside. Then, slowly, the planchette began to move, gliding across the board with an otherworldly grace. The letters spelled out a name: Ethan. Mia's breath caught in her throat as she realized they were not alone. "Ethan, are you here with us?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Once again, the planchette moved, spelling out a single word: yes. A sense of unease settled over the group as they realized they had made contact with the spirit world. "What do you want from us, Ethan?" Lily asked, her voice trembling slightly. The planchette moved again, spelling out a chilling message: revenge. Before they could react, a loud crash echoed through the room, causing them to scream in terror. In the dim light, they could see the shadows moving, swirling around them like tendrils of smoke. And then, suddenly, the candles flickered and died, plunging the room into darkness. Panic seized Mia as she fumbled for her flashlight, her hands shaking uncontrollably. But when the light finally flickered back on, they were greeted by a sight that chilled them to the bone. Standing before them was a spectral figure, its features twisted in anguish, its eyes burning with an otherworldly light. With a scream, Lily recoiled, her friends scrambling to their feet in terror. "We have to get out of here," Sam cried, his voice tinged with fear. But as they turned to flee, they found their path blocked by an invisible barrier, trapping them within the mansion's walls. Desperate, they turned back to the Ouija board, their hands shaking as they tried to communicate with the spirit. "Ethan, please, we didn't mean any harm," Mia pleaded, her voice cracking with emotion. But the spirit only laughed, its laughter echoing through the room like the tolling of a funeral bell. "You have awakened forces beyond your comprehension," it whispered, its voice filled with malice. "And now, you must face the consequences." As the spirit's words faded into the darkness, Mia felt a chill run down her spine. They were trapped, at the mercy of forces they could not hope to understand. And as the night wore on, they realized that some legends were more than just stories, they were warnings, whispered from beyond the grave. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment and turn on notifications if you enjoyed the video so you never miss an upload.